Every day in the USA, people find themselves in court.
On the record, in the matter of the state of Michigan versus Roberto Tischetti, 232223. And Detective Sergeant, your name for the record, please.
Sergeant Ken Grote.
All right, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear from the testimony that's given this matter to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And excuse me, you may proceed on the warrant.
October 10th, approximately 11:50 a.m., Officer Barwick arrived at the CVS located at 2025 Ford Avenue in the city of Wyandotte on an unrelated service call when he was approached by an unidentified female. The female stated there's a shirtless white male defendant, Mr. Tischetti, sitting in masturbating. Officer Barwick was directed to a beige-colored Chevy truck that was parked in the CVS lot, where he positioned his fully marked patrol car behind the truck. Officer Barwick noted that he observed the defendant was shirtless inside the truck, and as he approached to make contact, the defendant became startled and lifted the lower half of his body as if he was pulling up his pants. While speaking with the defendant, Officer Barwick confirmed the defendant's pants were halfway down and his bare buttocks was in the driver's seat and his genitals were covered up. Officer Barwick continued to ask the defendant why his clothes were off in such cold weather, 50 degrees that day, where the defendant became increasingly nervous. Officer Barwick and rolling up his window and stated he had to leave. Officer Barwick advised the defendant he was not free to leave, where the defendant disregarded all officers' commands and to stop, and the defendant fled the scene in his vehicle towards 4th Street. Officer Barwick activated his emergency lights and siren on his patrol car and pursued the defendant, who led officers on a slow vehicle pursuit through the residential area, disregarding officers' lights and siren. The defendant was observed himself while evading officers. The defendant was stopped and the vehicle was subsequently arrested and conveyed to the Wyandotte Police Station, where he is booked and held. Officer Barwick noted that he was extracting the defendant from his vehicle. His arm was sweaty and covered in Vaseline. He also reported there was an empty jar of Vaseline recovered from the vehicle.
All right, thank you. Upon examination of complaining witness, I find the offenses charged were committed and there's probable cause to believe the defendant committed those offenses. Counsel, your appearance, please.
Yes, again, good morning, Your Honor. I'm Neil DeBloy, P36827 on behalf of the defendant.
Thank you. Sir, your name for the record, please.
Joe Tischetti.
All right. Joe, can you close that door back there, please? Thank you. And counsel, as to the arraignment.
Yes, regarding the arraignment, client waiving for the formal reading of the charge and stand mute.
All right, the court will waive the formal reading, enter a plea of not guilty for purposes of the arraignment. Scheduled this matter for probable cause conference on October 19th at 9 a.m. And sir, you do have the right to have an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court will appoint one to represent you. And in fact, you've had an opportunity to speak to an attorney today, correct?
Yeah.
I can't hear you, sir. Sir, I need you to speak up, sir.
Can you repeat that, please?
You have the right to have an attorney. If you cannot afford one, the court will appoint one to represent you. And in fact, you've had an opportunity to speak to an attorney today, correct?
Yes.
All right. You also have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to have a trial by a judge or by a jury. You also have the right to remain silent. Anything you say orally or in writing may be used against you in court. Do you understand those rights, sir? I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
I understand.
And counsel, as to bond.
As the bond, Mr. Tischetti advises that he's a 28-year resident on the home of Taylor. He's owned business for the last 30 years. Indicated to me that he's never failed to appear for any scheduled court appearance. Indicated he has no pending matters. In case he will appear if released on bond, I'd ask the court to take those factors into consideration when setting a bond in this case.
All right, thank you. And Detective Sergeant, as to bond.
Your Honor, it's like Mr. Tischetti has a problem with this. Since 1974 through 2007, he's been arrested and convicted 6 times of indecent exposure. He's in a parking lot of a busy business in the daytime, and then he decides to flee in a vehicle. We think he's a danger to society. We're gonna ask for 10,000 cash.
Mr. Deschetti,
Yes,
you're self-employed,
yes.
and do you, participate in any, treatment, sir?
At this time, no.
Have you ever failed to appear in court for any reason, sir?
Haven't.
Are you on probation or parole anywhere?
No, I'm not.
Are you out on bond in any other jurisdiction?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor.
All right, the court will note after review of the criminal history and taking into account the offense charged, and given the nature of the charges and the safety of the public, that is a huge concern for this court, given the defendant's criminal history. The court does find that the bond recommendation is appropriate. The court's going to indicate a $10,000 cash bond, no surety, no 10%. In the event you post bond, sir,
Pardon me?
in the event you post bond, you are to have a GPS tether, house arrest.
How would I go to work?
Sir, you'll have to communicate with the tether unit as to where the locations of any jobs are, because you're going to also have to submit proof of those jobs, and that you're not just going to various locations without actually having any work to do.
Okay, how do I get that from like the customer?
Well, sir, if you're trying to prove that you're going to a customer's home and you're self-employed, one would presume that you would have a bid of some sort or some type of written contract that you can submit.
That's right. I have that.
All right, and then we'll see you on October 19th. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day. Okay, and then we are recalling the matter of the state of Michigan versus Kevin Smith, 231353. And